Now we are ready to go. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Captain Quasar, and welcome back to another live stream. It's time for another H3 waiting room. Sorry I wasn't here yesterday. I wasn't expecting I guess I was expecting the stream, but I had already counted against streaming on Tuesday. I'm trying to keep a consistent Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule. So hopefully the H3 show can do that as well. But we are here today. We have some amazing Instagram posts, some Reddit posts, and a YouTube video to check out from Conduit about Taylor Lorenz. But before we get into any of that, I do have... Sorry, just making sure everything's running correctly. I do have a fun poll ready to go for everybody. So, a mysterious stranger offers to permanently improve one part of your life. Which do you choose? Is it unlimited energy, perfect memory, endless charisma, or superhuman reaction time? Which is it? But let's get this started. So that's the poll. Sorry, I'm making sure that everything's still, I'm like scanning over both of my monitors and making sure that all like 20 things that I have open are all working properly. But yes, let's get this poll started. One more time. It's a mysterious stranger offers to permanently improve one part of your life. Which do you choose? Unlimited energy, perfect memory, endless charisma, or superhuman reaction time? The thing about unlimited energy though is I'm wondering, because theoretically I think that would imply that not only do you not need to sleep, but I don't know if you can sleep. The music stopped right there. Perfect. But we are ready to go. I'm gonna get started with some Instagram posts now. I always got some fun Instagrams, you know that. This guy's got a pet monkey. What are these ones called? I forget what these type of monkeys are called, but Dad and Maverick goofing around while Mom is in the doctor's office. I mean, shout out him. This is Monkey Fam. Oh, I guess he has a bunch of monkeys. I thought it was
Caught
just
cheating on his diet.
Maverick.
Caught cheating.
Macaques? How do you say it? Macaques. Just some monkeys around, just monkeying around, you know. I just thought that first video was pretty funny because a lot of the comments are like arguing, being like, he doesn't like it, stop. It's like, I don't think the monkey would really be sitting in his lap if he like hated it. And I mean, monkeys do things to each other all the time, you know what I mean? I always think about this, right? People go, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. I think about it in like an animalistic sense. Animals don't understand words. They understand tone, they understand behavior. And so if you set a behavior, they're going to understand that better. And obviously you don't beat animals because that's just going to instill fear. But like I'm saying, look what animals do to each other. They grab each other up, they snatch each other if they need to. You got to set them straight. You got to kiss them all over to show them how much you love them. It is Macaque? I knew it. Bros just loves kissing on Macaque. What can I say? Yeah, Morgan liked it too. You know, I started thinking about this because a lot of the times you see things that are like the algorithm is working in a way now. Oh, I just realized my sub count isn't working properly. Oh, Oh, it's glitched out. I guess I'll just... Weird. I guess I'll just turn that off for now. I don't know why that's glitched. Instagram's, it started pushing things that the people you're following like a lot more, like things that they comment on and things that they like. But I've also started noticing it's also like accounts that different people follow. And I'm starting to wonder how much that's being pushed, because I'm hoping it doesn't push too many things down in the algorithm. Because I still love getting those like videos that have 2 or 3 likes here or there, you know? You can't be getting everything that's like 200,000 likes. This is just a taste. You know, we need what's deeper, truly. They don't make guys like me anymore. Frederick Darby Jr. Meet Hollywood's oldest dreamer.
His name is Fred. He's 97 years old, and he's still chasing fame in Hollywood. He's been working as an extra for more than 50 years. He never got his big break.
Well, you know what they say, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And it sounds like he's had an amazing journey along the way, because he's kept the proper spirit.
But somehow he's always believed that it was right around the corner. He still wants to get married one day, still wants to have kids. Just not.
It's good to have hope. It's good to have dreams and aspirations. You got to start redirecting as life moves forward. You know what I mean? It's like things can work out, things can go well, but it's like at a certain point, you either got to make it happen. You know, you got to really dedicate yourself and be like, every other day, I'm going to the bar, I'm going to the library, I'm just trying to meet new people, trying to put myself out there to see, you know, what sticks. But at a certain point, what did he say he was, 90 something? The 90-year-old man having children, I think, is a little bit not fair. It's not fair to them.
Not yet. First, he wants to get his career in order. This is Fred. His name is Fred.
Getting your career in order first, so you have to be famous before you can have a child. I mean, if you get famous, Frederick, I do think that being famous might help you have a child. You know, it doesn't stop a lot of those old celebs. 97, wow. I said 92. I was giving him too much credit.
My name is Frederick Darby. I'm from New York. I'm 28 years old.
Looks great.
I've been in Forrest Gump, NYPD Blues, West Wing.
I don't know why that other post was making it sound like he's a nobody. This is an illustrious career.
Murder, She Wrote. I've been in Dreams of Reality. Played a screenwriter. Oh, I played a scene and this girl bumps into me. And then I said to her, "Where the hell are you going, bitch?" She said,
Fred, still searching for the American dream at 97. I mean, it shows you that the American dream is still alive, but it also makes you question how much longer is that going to be true. I'm just saying, you know, this is the reality that we live in.
says, "Will you call me a bitch? Moron."
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. No. My bad, Fred.
Seriously, that was a great dialogue. The show don't make dialogue like that no more.
They do not.
My name is Frederick Cortman Darby. I'm a struggling actor. Seriously, I'm not playing around. I'd like to know how to get into SAG. Tell me how I have to do it. My name is Frederick.
I feel like YouTube hides Cap'n from me. That's it. I'm calling YouTube today. Why have you blacklisted me? Why am I shadow banned? Make sure to click that bell and subscribe.
Yeah, they're trying to tell me what to do, see? Telling me what the hell to do. And I'm not going to take that shit.
You know, I've started saying this at work. You know, sometimes I feel like Lil Pete. For those who don't know, Lil Pete comedy. You know, like Lil Pete, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I've just started saying that to myself a little bit more, you know? Got to get the job done.
No way.
What are you going to say?
Oh, fuck off. Yeah, they're trying to tell me what to do.
You can't tell Frederick Darby what to do. Well, Howard, how do you expect to work with some of the great directors if you can't take a direction, Frederick? As your mod, I'm going to send YouTube a strongly worded letter. Thank you very much. Co-sign my name on it. I give you permission. You just want strippers and to make more Lil Cap'n videos? You're right. Like my idol, Lil Pete. They have leg lengthening surgery. I need leg shortening surgery. Just cut out the shins like Cotton from King of the Hill. People are calling this 96-year-old next Sinatra. This is the next Sinatra. Yeah. The best Oh, Freddy boy. They call him Old Gray Eyes. Yes, we love Frederick Darby around here. Oh, that's kind of nice. Where it all begins, no AI. If he did these, he's a pretty good artist. Like, just these sketches alone are pretty good. I'm a little confused, though. Does he want to be the next Sinatra, or is he trying to be a great actor?
His name is Fred. He's 97 years old, and he's still chasing fame in Hollywood.
This is the same audio as before. Every time I hear it, it's just the beginning is this guy going like, you just hear him breathing super hard.
His name is Fred.
His name is Fred. Thank you, Fred. Only 2,000 followers. This is what I mean. We got to get my boy up there.
His name is Fred.
It's like he laughed at him. His name is Fred. You know, sometimes I forget because Penn, Jillette, Penn and Teller, they're the magic guys. I forget how funny Penn Jillette really is. This is the most insane story I've ever heard someone give just off the cuff. Just like, yeah, as you do. I'm not going to spoil anything. I want him to be able to tell it himself. For any of you out there who have seen this, don't spoil it. Shh.
Speaking of having arms that are too little,
what a segue.
We had a naked cornstarch wrestling party at my house.
As you do, a naked cornstarch wrestling party. I was going to ask what's the occasion, but I guess the occasion is the party.
All right. I was wrestling my buddy Arturo, who was a little person. We decided to do it nude.
As one does, a bit of a Puff Daddy celebration.
What I didn't realize was his...
Cornstarch wrestling already seems difficult enough. Clothed, it would be even more difficult, so I understand the nude aspect is merely, it's just happenstance. These are just merely things that happen together. It was not constructed this way. It's just another viscous material, yes.
Arms were not as long as the cornstarch was deep. So when I put him face down...
He drowned.
Just a pool full of cornstarch. And the guy, he's trying to get up. He's trying to push himself out. And he can't. He's just accidentally. It's like quicksand. He's pulling himself deeper into the cornstarch.
He could no longer push his mouth up to be able to breathe. And I was standing over him and doing all my peacocking around.
Yeah.
And he was dying at the same time.
Yes.
And finally I looked down and went, motherfucker, he's been in that same position for a wicked long time.
Oh, no.
So
Face
then
down.
I was trying to pick up a little person who was stuck in cornstarch,
Oh, wow.
And that was your worst magic trick, too. That was your biggest bomb.
There was nothing magic
That
about
was just
it.
recreational
I
fun.
thought
Put
you
a
were-
little person in cornstarch and don't let him breathe, he starts to fucking die.
starts
There's
to die.
nothing magical about that.
The magic was a moment.
He's right. The magic was in the moment. It wasn't the experience that was magical, but it's more magical for us, the outside looking in. Jillette's voice awoke me like a sleeper agent. I'm a professional concept magician. You knew something was wrong. You're like, oh no, he's here. He showed up. You were afraid you're about to get called out. The fact that Penn doesn't drink and has never used drugs, and these are still his stories, is confusing. I don't see what's so confusing about it. He's a magician. These are the circles you run in. The fact that he wasn't drinking and on drugs proves that these were merely jovial meetings. These events were not fetishistic. I don't know if that's a word, but they're not to aid in some disgusting behavior. It's for the love of the game. And who doesn't love some naked cornstarch wrestling? Shout out, Jillette. Did I say musician? A magician. Same thing, right? A musician. Or are you doing that one thing? Who said that? A musician? What is that? Somebody that does magic? I make music. I'm an artist. And then shout out Super Mega Show. But Super Mega posted this again 14 hours ago. And every time they post it, it's like, I need to make sure I'm sharing it as well. This is the biggest thing. This is the moment we knew that there was nothing to benefit from listening to Joe Rogan. You know, it had been a steady decline. You know, it was started off with funny jokes, ha ha, he he's, all that, good fun. And then slowly started to ramp it up, being like, oh, we're talking about Terrence McKenna and the actual mechanisms behind DMT and magic mushrooms. And, oh, now we're talking about gorillas. Yay! And then it just devolved slowly into politics, into dumber and dumber things. And we're reminded of where Joe started from every time he says something like this. And this is a few years ago at this point. But you all know what's coming.
A video of a boxing match between a father and a son. It made me so sad because there's this young kid. He looks like he's probably like 17 or 18, and the father's 42, and the father beats the shit out of him. I mean, like dings him in the head and keeps punching him. I'm like, that's your son, and we're watching you beat your son up. It made me so sad. Yeah, this is it.
That's not exactly what was happening.
It's not? What is it?
They're not father-son.
Oh, why does it lie?
Get somebody to click on this.
I'm such a sucker. They got me. I
hate that
Okay,
shit.
now I'm not sad anymore. I saw a video of
Why does it lie? He's right. His name's Dad. You just don't get it. Here was the thing. Were you referencing this?
Baby, one thing about me is everybody know I'm so good with a good Gucci, so I always make a lot of money.
That's amazing. I didn't know that about you.
What do you know?
That you're a musician. But that's why I'm interviewing you today, so I can get to know you.
So I'm a musician.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck that mean? Make magic or something? What is musician?
I think you're confusing that.
Yeah, I'm not no musician. I make music. I make
I
music. And that's not all I do. I make music, I act. I'm a TV star too, a young mogul.
Just really quick, I think you're confusing.
I'm not confusing nothing because you don't know. You thought that all I was a magician or whatever the fuck you said.
See, that's what I think you think I said.
No,
I said musician, not magician.
I don't think, baby, I don't think. What is that? That's ghetto. I don't think. I know.
So you
think.
I didn't say magician, Suki. I said musician. And I think you are a musician.
No, baby, I do music.
So you just really quick, for the record, could you say you don't think you're a musician?
I'm not none of that.
But then after that, you just said I do music.
Yeah, I do music.
So in other words, you're a musician.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
It's black people.
Okay, you don't need to add this on the end. Crazy clip find. My bad. Crazy clip pull. The fuck, man. This is why you have to make sure that you have like a document. You have to have all your videos prepared because stuff like that can happen. She's a mogul. She's a young mogul. But yes, we saw that. The realist answer. So here's something that I just saw from ACC Network. I don't know what this is. Something from ESPN, I'm assuming. Yes.
Takeaway is your best memory from playing basketball at Boston College.
Probably just like.
Take a second, man. It's okay. Take a second. It's gonna be all right. Ooh, he's balding. Got the Ethan right there. It's okay. Speak from the heart.
Going out to eat.
What are you going to take?
Relatable. Yeah, someone said it right here. He's obviously talking about like the camaraderie that comes with like playing together. It's not the games, it's the long nights. It's the brotherhood. But I do just love that he goes going out to eat. Starts crying. Oh, that pizza was the best. You haven't been to Boston. Me when I get heartburn mid-sentence. Yeah, he wasn't going to cry. He was actually just about to throw up. He was getting some acid reflux. He had to push it all back down. He's seen some shit. Yeah, he's seen some shit out there in the restaurants. Late night. Waffle House. You haven't been there. I think it's so cruel that they interview anyone coming down from adrenaline. But for real, going out to eat with friends is dope. You're right. No, yeah. I mean, they're always the best clips, but I think that is the thing you always have to remember is that they are literally just peak, like, energy and emotion, and like regardless of if they've won or lost, it's just like a lot is racing through their body and mind in that moment. But the food was that good. So this is Keegan Carmichael. Everybody calls him the Timu Mitch Hedberg, and he definitely is ripping off Mitch Hedberg. But he's a pretty good comedian. And here's my whole problem is he started out on Kill Tony and everybody dogs on him. Tony dogs on him, and Tony's a terrible comedian. But Tony, like, their whole thing is making, like, not even making fun of him, but really trying to disrespect him as a comedian for, I won't mince words, for copying another comedian. But they have on Mark Norman all the time. And I'm sorry, but even his name is like a kind of like a Norm Macdonald's little workaround. I don't know. There's something there. But literally, I saw Mark Norman try and do a Norm Macdonald impression, and he just did his voice, and I was like he just spoke in his own cadence, and I was like, it spoke to me. It truly illustrated the thing that I've always seen. I've always, realized. But it really just put it into a visual perspective. And if you're going to have on Mark Norman, but then try and call somebody else out for like being hacky for copying, it's like, again, at least this guy is funny. At least this guy knows how to write a joke. Insult comics can only go so far, in my opinion. Or you just said imp. I thought that was in my opinion, but what's the P mean? Mark Normal. Mark Norman, Norm Macdonald. It's something. There's something there. There's something there. I'm just saying. Mark Normal. Mark Normal, like from Garfield. But let's hear what Keegan has to say.
Explain to him, dude. I got a few weeks ago. When I was super high, and like I had this revelation.
Those always come when you're just too high, just a little bit too high.
Hell yeah. Of joke writing. And I literally, I go on Kill Tony and I tell him, no, I'm in the process of rewriting 1,500 jokes right now because I just realized how the structure is so much important than the idea. Basically, you make a statement.
I mean, yeah, he's 100% right, too. It's the delivery 99% of the time. You can tell some of the worst jokes ever, and as long as you are able to deliver them, it's what was said in that one, we watched it probably like over a month ago at this point, but there was that video about Norm Macdonald, and it was an interview he was giving where he was talking, he was explaining that, why can't I remember his name? Sam Kinison. I don't know why I couldn't remember his name. Sam Kinison. Sam Kinison was telling Norm Macdonald that there's two ways to tell jokes. There's set up punchline, and he gives the example of Jerry Seinfeld, and says that that's like the worst way of telling jokes. Or there's the better way of telling jokes, which is the subversion of the idea and trying to take something and subvert expectations to deliver the punchline more heavy. And again, it's like that subversion can be lost in the delivery entirely. And I think that that's why delivery is like the most important part. But what he says here, I think, is like the perfect explanation of how to do a one-liner. And it kind of, I think it explains perfectly that he's not copying Mitch Hedberg just to be a copycat. It's truly him appreciating this style of comedy to the fullest extent. And I will say that the mannerisms need to drop off a bit because that is the big part. It's the you know. It's the way he holds himself that very much is Mitch Hedberg that I think people are against. It's not necessarily the writing or the joke, you know, the writing or the delivery.
But you have to pivot. I call it the ghost pivot. But because, therefore, so. If you can use those words without saying them out loud, and then push the punch to the very last word, that is the most successful joke. And I explained to him, dude, I got a few weeks ago, when I was super.
But yeah, I kind of explained it before he said it, but I think that was just a perfect example of, or a perfect explanation of how to do like a one-liner. And going with like the subversion thing, I think that, again, Norm Macdonald is probably a good example of it. In the one joke. Sorry, I'm going to butcher it, and then the delivery is going to completely lose the humor. I realized it as I was thinking it up. I was like, if I tell the joke, I'm just going to butcher it, and then it's going to be lost. But Hitler. There you go. That made someone laugh for sure. Hitler. You know, the more I learn about that guy, the more I dislike him. That's basically it. And that does have the because, therefore, so hidden within the joke without stating it specifically. Explaining comedy. It makes it funnier, right? And the thing is I don't think that explaining comedy makes it funnier, but I think that you should be able to explain a joke, or else it's not funny. Or else that adds to it being unfunny. Because if someone just doesn't understand the joke, they don't understand the joke. But if you don't understand your own joke enough to explain it, then you failed. But now we're moving away from comedy and we're moving into podcasting. Much more important thing. The escape pod. So I've seen this guy before. He's basically just like, I know everything about Spider-Man. But his buddy his buddy over here has got some issues. I have 2 clips from their podcast. No good. That's all I can say, basically. I'll just take it away, boys, please.
Going back to this, right? You definitely don't want to have a threesome if your wife asked.
Yes.
But let's say she says, your wife comes to you and says, yo, I'll do the threesome with whatever girl you want. You can fill in the blank there. But first, you got to do one with another dude.
Absolutely not.
No?
No.
You're not doing that?
Not with a wife.
But with a girlfriend?
No, not with a girlfriend. That's not your girl like that. No. Like, it's different. Like, with a different girl. Like, I would love to have a threesome with you.
Okay.
Like me and you double.
This podcast is supposed to be about superheroes and stuff. They're supposed to just be geeking out, but instead they're... I guess this is like the reality, right? Everybody forgets what those band kids were up to in high school. You know, people would point and mock and laugh and mock them. I was friends with them. I knew what they were getting up to. It was just a big... We won't get into it. They were just all in a big throuple all together, a disupple or something, you know? Whatever. Something like that. A disupple, that'd be 10, probably more.
Double team a girl.
Pause.
But like they'd have to be like a fan.
And then that part too. Not only is he wanting to fuck his friend here, he wants to bring a fan into it. No, buddy. No.
It'd have to be like a one-time thing.
Pause.
What?
You know, you guys didn't have to post this. You really didn't.
Pause.
What?
You can't just say you want to have a threesome with me and keep going.
You can't say you want to have a threesome with him, then keep going, and then in the next statement say that you also want to have that threesome be with a fan. He wants to double team a fan with his co-host. Calm down, buddy. Calm down.
Why not? Me and you have a podcast together.
You know, they got to talk about this on the podcast today. This is why I don't have a podcast. I don't want this experience.
We could like...
I was trying to think of an example, but literally all of them are in a relationship, so it doesn't really work. Yeah, because even Love said he has a girlfriend now. I can't... Okay, yeah, no, they're all either married or in a relationship. Interesting.
Also, you want to do stuff. You can't do stuff. You can't do stuff with fans. You can't do that.
Why not? What if they DM us?
No, I don't want those DMs.
I do.
This is their clip channel, I think. I don't know if this is someone posting their clips. I don't know if it's them. I hope not, because this is not a good clip. Not a good look, guys. Not a good look at all. I'm sorry, I'm like trying to hide away in the corner over here. I'm staying as far away from these two as possible. Since you're railing fans, can it be me? 280-pound man, by the way. Shout out Joshington City.
You're gonna get a lot. You're gonna get me too.
You're correct. You're correct. Never mind. Let's move on.
Going back.
Let's move on. You're right. Let's move on to your next clip. It just gets worse. Every clip I saw, these are the clips that I saw in order. I'm showing you the order in which I saw their clips. So these are different clips channels they have. So they have fans making them Instagram clips, and these are the clips they're deciding to choose from. This is a different account, I'm realizing, but take it away, boys.
Naked with Rogue.
Rogue's
You're gonna die, but it's
cool.
cool.
And we float up in the air and start making out.
Not you. You're dead. If you're fucking Rogue,
I'll survive.
I swear to God. I swear to God. I swear to God. You're not gonna believe me on this. This is how fucked my mind has been lately. When I said fucking, I was like, holy shit, I just said the N-word. Like, I was like, he has to cut that. I can't believe I slipped up and did that. I swear to God. I swear to God, that's what just went through my mind. I was like, I don't know if you heard it, but I did stutter at the end of fucking. I was like, fuck it. And I was like, holy fuck. Thank God this isn't live. Like, you're naked with Rogue.
Rogue's
You're going to
there.
die, but it's cool.
What is the point of this podcast? They just, like, what are they... Is there anything here?
What should I call a girl? Give me a name.
What is this podcast about?
Pookie.
Oh, who's this guy?
Can I add a bear in
They added a third. Maybe they're... Does he want to be part of this threesome they were talking about?
the end? Pookie bear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is his chest hollow? Yes. People were talking about that in the comments.
You're naked with Rogue.
It's a medical condition.
Rogue.
Having a concave chest, but his isn't bad enough to need medical intervention, because it can affect like your heart and stuff if you have it too. You know, someone could all of a sudden just reach in there and start playing with your heart. All of a sudden you're having palpitations. You're like, oh. We just call this a bird chest. This is the type of thing someone gets made fun of for, and they're like, you need to just work out. And it's like, no. This is literally a medical condition. You don't understand. Chest dent of doom. Crazy. This is when the foodie boys grow up. It's when they run out of all the foods to talk about, you know? It's like that one guy who talks about fruit on TikTok, and he's like, yes, I've eaten every single fruit. This account only has 6 posts, and they decided the one where they're naked is a good one. It does have the most likes, I think. There's that. It's like a concave spoon dip. You know, it's you could do, they do belly button shots. Some people do that. You could do it out of his chest instead. Get like a double shot there. I've seen some of their podcast. Is it any good? Is it just this the whole time?
Nerds like the Escape Pod podcast boys deserve to be bullied.
3, 2, 1.
Yes.
Yeah, freaking yeah, dude.
Yeah.
We suck sometimes.
And I have a terrible shot in basketball.
I have a terrible haircut. You have
Yes, you're alone. You're gonna die alone.
Yeah.
You're a virgin.
You
I like that they started off talking about themselves and then needed to just start going, no, you're worse. You don't understand. What the fuck did I just walk into? The best podcast ever. #1 podcast on YouTube. Check it out. Google it.
Overall, I don't really ask your permission for much.
Yeah, it's similar to like, I don't really have to ask your permission to take your mom out on a date, which I do regularly. I just have to ask you like permission to marry her.
You fucking son of a bitch.
I'm just saying. Is that not a good example?
No. But you're not taking my mother out on a date, so it's
I am. Because I don't, but you didn't know this?
Hilarious, Andrew.
I don't have to ask your permission though. Yes or no? Adult, your mother, adult.
You would have to ask my permission to take my mother out on a date.
No, there is a difference between date and marriage. I'd let you know about the marriage.
Let me know about the marriage. You would ask me, again, obviously none of this is happening, but
we're like 6 or 7 in.
6 or 7 what?
Say that again.
I mean, how specific do you want me to get here?
The greatest podcast on wherever they post that. Probably YouTube, TikTok, who knows? Moving into Reddit now. Moving swiftly along. This is just some little stuff I saw. So I saw a few clips that I just thought I'd talk about briefly, because I have talked about Metatron before, as well as I always say his name wrong, Aten-Shei. I'm definitely saying it wrong there too. But basically, Metatron used to talk about like HEMA, used to talk about like the Crusades and like video stuff like that, and has gone on a complete white, like alt-right. I said white. Oh, I meant alt-right. He's white. No, he's gone on this like alt-right shift. It's so funny too. He, for a while, let me see if I can find this post. This actually cracked me up. Yeah, this is it. Okay, this is hilarious. YouTube keeps unsubscribing people every time I post a video. I imagine some are inactive accounts. Others, This sends me below the million. Then in a few hours, I hit the million again. Then I post and I go below, then up again. I already crossed a million and went below the million 5 times in the last 3 days. This is like a Dark Viper AU rant. I swear, guys, if you go subscribe and we hit buffer zone, say 1 million and 2,000, I'm going to order another gold play button again. I'm going to troll at this point. I'll order a play button every time we cross the million. It's just funny to me because this happened around the time that he started going like full force into this alt-right shift. And it's clear that it's so different. So look, he's posting a lot. Let's just go to what his most popular videos are. They're from years ago. Top 10 most effective martial arts. Top 10 most effective helmets. Is Jesus historical? What do the Romans say about him? How did the Romans beat the Greeks? Legions and legions versus phalanx. Gladius versus Sarissa. The truth about LGBTQ plus in ancient Greece. Once and for all. I actually watched this one too, and this one wasn't it actually surprisingly isn't alt-right. This one is more historical. But then if we see his latest videos, like you can just even tell from the thumbnails that it's just this. It's over with Asmongold. And they're all just stream clips. None of them are like really edited videos anymore. My unbiased take on the Nick Fuentes situation. This pastor is demonic. What really happened at the Trump assassination attempt? The quartering crossed the line. He actually has beef with the quartering too, surprisingly. You know, he just walks his own path, so I'll give him respect there. And yeah, I hate to see it for sure, but this just, I saw this post here, and so I had to check it out for myself. Metatron attacks Aten-Shei, I'm definitely saying it wrong, films by deceptively cutting a clip from one of Aten-Shei's Q&A videos where an answer he gives is obviously a joke by referencing James Cameron's Avatar. So it's a joke. I'll get to that point. We're going to let this play just so we can get through this first clip that he shares, just to show like the kind of, it's just a grift, and it's so absurd on us at a certain point. Like, come on, bro. You were doing so good, and like you're saying, people are unsubscribing. You hit 1 million. You were on the rise. And all of a sudden, you're doing these videos that are getting you much lower views than you were getting before, and you're wondering why people are unsubscribing. You're wondering why these videos that you're like, you think that you're more passionate about just because it's like more topical. And I guess maybe you are more passionate about that. I can't speak to that, but it's a grift at the end of the day, and this kind of proves it. So let's hear what the point he's trying to make is.
Hey, number ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and today we are talking about a disgusting human being. How about that? So we are reviewing the channel Aten-Shei.
Y'all, I am so anxious. Lus is talking to Destiny in a few minutes, and I'm so nervous for some reason. Ooh, I'm excited to see what comes from that. You know, I noticed this earlier. Lus, I realized what Lus sounds like to me. So I had Lus on 2 times speed while I was watching this video.
Percentage of them, maybe a large percentage. Remember, Denon's peaked at, I think, over 45,000 concurrent viewers. If you go on Twitch right now, there's not a...
He low-key sounds like an Animal Crossing cranky villager.
Single person with over 40,000. Whenever I log on to Twitch in the daytime, the most anyone's ever had is like 25,000.
It's like when I put it on a little too fast, I'm like, oh no, I need to slow it down just a little bit. But just a thought I had. But sorry, back to this.
Shei Films, 528,000 subscribers, 243 videos. It's a channel about history, one would say, but no, sir. This is a absolute maniac, a traitor, and a piece of filth. Was that direct enough? Was that direct enough? Check this out. There is a video of his, this one here, called Q&A, America is a Haunted House. There he is. There he is. America is a Haunted House, where he reads comments from subscribers and provides his opinions. All right, check.
I'm wondering if that zoom in was meant to like mock his appearance or something when they look very similar. There he is. There he is.
This out.
You suddenly wake up in the 17th century on a ship headed for New England. All you have is period-appropriate clothing and enough money for 3 days' worth of food. How long could you survive before being accused of witchcraft? I would survive decades. As soon as we landed, I would use the money to bribe the bosun to look the other way while I stole all of the muskets and powder on board. And then, depending on when in the century I was landing, I would march my ass immediately to the nearest indigenous settlement, give the guns out like candy, and make it my mission in life to murder every single white man, woman, and child on the eastern seaboard of the continent. And then, of course, I would to murder every single white man, woman, and child, and make it my mission in life to murder every single white man, woman, and child.
Okay. You virtual signaling human filth. I don't even care if any of you is going to try and tell me, oh, but it's an hypothetical about time travel. It doesn't matter. You don't make fantasies about murdering children.
So he cut it a little quick there, so let's just hear the ending of this.
And make it my mission in life to murder every single white man, woman, and child on the eastern seaboard of the continent. And then, of course, I would make friends with the dragon and rally all the clans together. And then Stephen Lang would come by in like a big gunship. And I would like fly down on my dragon with a machine gun and go, rah! And like shoot all the guys, and they go, and then Stephen Lang would fight me in a big mech suit, but I would of course be victorious, and you know, Twitter wouldn't exist, so nobody could call me a white savior. It'd be great. Why do you think that there is such a high level?
Like, it's just so ridiculous that he cuts it so intentionally. Like, you can tell that it was cut so like come on. There's so clearly a purpose to do that, and it's to try and hide that this was clearly just an exaggeratory hypothetical made in jest in a Q&A. Like, this has like no bearing in reality at all. Like, there's no, like, it's just so ridiculous. And then to call him virtue signaling what is clear for what is clearly a joke, while literally virtue signaling and being like, you piece of dog, you evil you psychopath.
According to my therapist, I'm a sociopath.
What is wrong with you? Like, it's just...
I don't care. I do not give a flying f*** about what his intention here was. There is no justification for this whatsoever, let alone to murder those children because they're white. So in a country where white children are being shot at in school, absolutely they are. White Christian children specifically.
And do you see how it just completely shifts the focus? Like, that has nothing to do with what he was talking about at all. It was literally just a random hypothetical that was thrown his way that he went way beyond the pale for anyways. Like, just completely just an absurd thing that is just completely out of any field. And trying to claim that he's virtue signaling while virtue signaling is absolutely insane. Incredible stuff. Incredible stuff indeed. But yeah, that was basically it. I don't think there's any point in actually watching the full video to just hear him ramble on, basically, again, virtue signaling, saying the same stuff over and over again. Is he concussed? It's possible. It was all the HEMA. He got hit in the head with too many swords. But yeah, just a little something. Again, it's sad because I used to like Metatron's. He started doing more stuff. He's like, if you want to see more of my academic stuff, go check out my other channels. Go subscribe to 5 other channels because that'll work. But yeah, I did like some of his older content, and it is sad to see the path that he's gone down. Because he is doing precisely what he is claiming that Aten-Shei does, even though, again, it's like you can look at the difference in their videos. Just look at the upload schedule, 12 days, 1 month, 1 month, 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, as opposed to like a day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, like literally every single day posting, clearly just grifting, versus someone posting content that they clearly care about, that's historical content, that they are embedding probably a little bit of their own personal bias into, which is going to be true about any form of historical content that you find. It's always going to be coming from a certain perspective, and then what you have to do is find, like, you know, the truth within claims by finding counterclaims, counter examples, you know, and where the historical evidence actually lies. But that has nothing to do with, and again, that's also completely aside from random Q&As that he does. But the grift is alive and well, as always, so be wary. Sam, I used to love his videos. Yeah, it's a bad look. If white Christian kids are being targeted in school shootings, then white Christian kids need to stop bullying school shooters. That's a good point too. And the thing is, it's untrue. Like, it's like the statement that globally, and this is true, globally, Christians are the most, what is the word they use? I'll just say targeted. It's like Christians are the most targeted religious group globally, but that's literally just because they are the largest religious group. So it's like, I don't know if that actually holds up when you break it down like per capita or whatever, but I don't even know if per capita would necessarily be the best way to measure it. But that is like a global thing that people say, to say that like Christians are the most persecuted groups. Because yeah, persecute, it's not, there's a specific way that they phrase it that is like a statistic that's around that goes beyond just persecution. But yeah, it's what they use to claim that Christians are the most persecuted. Who's doing the shootings? Well, even if they claim they're Christian, they're not a real Christian, so it doesn't count. But when someone commits an act of jihad, then that means that it represents all Muslims, right? It's the...
Yay, I got a subscriber!
6 months, 6 months!
6 months exclamation mark :_faces cap shocked :_faces cap and happy bonk.
I forgot I would read it out like that. I need to just change them to just happy, just like phrased as happy. But Destiny expands his vocabulary with a rare word from Twitch's biggest streamer. I don't know if that's still the case. Is Asmongold the biggest streamer right now? I feel like that changes weekly, so we never know for sure. But this guy's going to be talking to Lus. Interesting. But here is what Destiny learned from Asmongold.
It's like it's Goynip. That's what it is. It's Goynip for...
I'm permabanned from the site still, right?
Yeah. And again, it's like you could have a conversation about in regards to Destiny's ban, but the fact that Asmongold is able to just say crazy stuff like this all the time, and at the most gets like a week ban. Like, what was his longest ban? And it's just incredible. And I hadn't heard this one before either. Like, obviously everybody, goy slop has become like the big term, and literally goy is just like the Hebrew word for Gentile, right? Like, that's all it means. That's all it is. And it's just making it a meme like this is terrible, because we live in like a culture of memes nowadays where there are going to be people who just say this stuff without thinking about it. You know what I mean? It was like kids being racist. You know what I mean? It was like kids being racist and then not realizing what they were saying was extremely racist. And then like a year later being like, oh, Oh yeah, it was racist when everybody was saying "unga boonga." You're right. You're right. Oh shit. When somebody said "unga boonga, go back to Africa," that was racist. Fuck. Who would have thunk? But back then we were all 13, so it's like, you know, we were in middle school. But then once we hit high school, we were like, oh shit, you're right. Just because I was saying it to a white guy it doesn't matter. It's like, bro, come on. I do like the Destiny plays victim about it though. He's like, I'm the one that's banned from this site though. Grr. Okay. This was r/off my chest. Sometimes I'm scrolling and I see something that hurts me. It hurts me deeply. And I need to share it. Because I cannot carry this pain alone. My new boyfriend is into some weird stuff. Okay, wait, sorry. Let me get us in a mood real quick. No, this one's too happy. Sorry. Let's go with this one too. No, I don't like this one either. There we go, some droning. Something scary. Oop, we're not dropping frames, but we might be glitching with the audio. Trying to make sure everything's running okay. Okay, I think we're okay now. My new boyfriend is into some weird stuff. I really like this guy. We've been dating for a couple weeks now. I think he's perfect. So freaking sweet, funny. We like a lot of the same things, and we get along extremely well, despite both being pretty socially awkward. I truly want to be with him forever. I don't kink shame at all, but like, some of them are kind of extreme, right? After we had sex for the first time, we're pillow talking and shit, and he's like, "What are you into?" And I was nervous, so I told him to go first. Y'all, he tells me that he likes to watch girls pee. Fine, yeah, I can do that. I don't care if he sees me pee. We spend the whole next day together. I really, really like him. And later that night, he tells me he also likes to see girls use diapers. I'm very open-minded, okay? Like, this isn't a deal breaker for me. He says it's because he likes to see confident girls be embarrassed. Little aside, weirdo. That's a red flag if I've ever heard one. But a few other things, but mainly the diaper thing. I'd def be embarrassed, so I figured why not fuck with it and do that for him. I'm like, yeah, I can do that. I have pissed in a diaper twice. It's the worst feeling ever. I really don't like it. But seeing how happy it makes him really makes me really, really happy. I'm a people pleaser, I guess, so I don't really mind that I don't really like it. I did something that I won't even type on an anonymous Reddit post. And he told me no one's ever done that for him before. And it just didn't I don't know. It feels kind of intimate to do something that extreme with someone. I feel kind of strangely, really close to him after that kind of stuff. I'm at a weird place where I actually think I can say I enjoy wearing a diaper for my boyfriend, which if you told me I'd be saying even 3 months ago, I'd tell you there's no way in hell. Life just takes you to some crazy places. I don't fucking know. Yo, what was the unspeakable thing? Oh no. What had gone unspoken? I did something that I won't even type in an anonymous Reddit post. Oh no. I'm sorry to do it to you. I'm sorry to give you a dramatic reading, but I had to share it. It's just it started with the red flag. Because again, we don't kink shame here either. It's one thing to have a fetish. It's another thing for that fetish to be derived from the embarrassment or like someone's disapproval of something. You know what I mean? Because you should like it because you enjoy it, not or because you get gratification from the pleasure someone else is getting in it. But doing it because of their embarrassment is really just she ate her poop. That's what people in the comments were saying. Someone said she 100% ate poop, or she you shit in his mouth, didn't you? No. It's the only thing that there could be in this like realm, right? It's a no-go. But hey, at least she feels like it's pretty intimate, you know? Oh no. This just feels like it's going to be explained in a therapy session in maybe 20 years. There's going to be a lot to get into. Yeah, it would be one thing if it was the OP's kink. Yeah, it's getting someone into it. And again, it's it's because of the embarrassment aspect. If it was just I don't know, I like being peed on, I like golden showers. That's one thing. To enjoy the receptive role in that. But again, it's the degrading aspect that is definitely an issue. Or if they're into cuck stuff. Again, it's if the cuck is the one that's into it. Because I couldn't understand it. But if you have a erectile dysfunction or something like that, I feel like there's physical means where it's I don't feel like I'm living up to my whatever, so then they maybe get off on the pleasure. I don't know. I could maybe understand that more, again, from the person who is the cuck. But again, there's an issue if it's coming from the person who just wants to dominate their partner. That is, again, the issue. Forgot wipes? No worries. No! That's why he has the diaper. He's it's time for cleanup. Fuck. Okay, we're moving on. I need to stop. We're stopping here. We're done. We're done with that. Moving on. Moving on to more shit talk. The ops are fighting. You like that one? That was a good little spin on things. I like that. That was a good transition. Trisha Paytas calls out James Charles after public crash out. Two clowns going at it. I just said that because of this, but it was why did Trisha even need to say anything? Why is this important at all? But I guess it's because it's Trish Crave. Trish Crave is such a funny account name. I hate you, James Charles. You're not contributing to society, the internet, or inspiring others. You're a vile, disgusting human being, and you can't even sing. And then James Charles is going to reply with, I hate you, Trisha Paytas. You're not contributing to society, the internet, or inspiring others. You're a vile, disgusting human being, and you can't even sing. And they are both correct. They are both speaking true facts here, and what can you say? You got to give them both a hand for that one. It reminds me of a meme. Yeah, this one. Garbage vs. trash. Garbage versus trash. Who will win? Even the coloring's kind of similar? Just a little bit? Am I wrong? Interesting. Something to think about. Something to think about. Yeah, you're not contributing to society is wild coming from Trisha. No, that's why as I was reading it, I was like, all of these statements could literally just be flipped back on her very effortlessly. Just literally reply with just swapping out Trisha Paytas' name and you're good to go. I'm contributing to society by documenting all the jugs of the Ren Fair. Thank you, the quartering. That's a noble service. I thought that was to her, not from her. Like, it goes both ways. We're kind of good. P is stored in the balls. You're right. Where did you hear that one? And it's time to make this happen. So we've had a lot of gay versus straight conversation. Who is gay? Who is straight? Game show idea. 11 gay men and 1 straight man are locked in a house. The object for the gay man, or for the gay men, is to find out who isn't gay. Once a week, someone gets outvoted until 2 are left. Or the straight man is out. If the gays manage to outvote him, they win $1 million. If the straight man is among the 2 last people in the house in the end, he wins $1 million. Now, here's the twist. None of the men are actually gay. They just all think they are the one straight man. I think this is a great show idea. I feel like they've done similar stuff to this before. Or did someone do a video like this or something? For some reason, I'm having like a sleeper agent moment. I'm having this flashback. I remember seeing a clip where a guy was doing basically that, where he was the best at pretending to be gay. Was it a Jubilee lineup video? Was it like one of those? I guess they're not Jubilee anymore. Who does the lineup videos? It's a good concept, honestly. I do think it's a good concept. It's kind of like that one show where like everybody was trying to become like a famous singer, but they were all really bad singers, and it was really about like who's the worst. If they were actually gay, they would clock that trait immediately. I think honestly, yeah, it's like if they were actually 11 gay men and 1 straight guy, I think that they would probably be able to weed him out within like the first few, because you would probably have, you know, the whole thing is just about like the levels of promiscuity. It's not like how gay are they. It's just literally if you have someone that's less affectionate, they'd probably just be like they might be straight, and they'd start weeding them out. So you'd have to just be willing to just start. You'd have to be getting down. If you're not making out with dudes on the first day, you're getting voted out. That's the only way you can really figure it out, right? Because literally, it's otherwise you're just going by like he acts gay. He walks a little gay. I don't know. How willing are you to be gay? But then by the end of it, it's like, hey, you started as the one straight guy, but by the end, it's like you were getting in there. You know you were having fun. Don't lie. First time here, figured I might as well go for the real waiting room instead of the usual, aka Stoic Chronicle. Okay. Well, thank you for stopping in. I appreciate it. We have watched some Stoic Chronicles on here, you know, here and there, but I appreciate you stopping in. We got some other stuff lined up. There are tells. It's not quite that black and white. There are tells. But I mean, like I'm saying, I feel like what give me a singular tell then, like just one. And I don't mean that as a like a there are none, but I just mean like what would a tell be in that case? They used to play gay chicken on Howard Stern. We're docking. What's wrong with that? That's not even gay. That's just 2 guys having some fun. If the straight guy ends up gay before the end, does he win or does he lose or win? Well, he might lose the challenge, but I guess he's winning in life now, you know? He's being true to himself, so he's won in the end. But the Pope is not having it. So Nicholas DiOrio is coming down on Ethan Klein. Oh, I didn't get the translation for this. Ethan Klein, grozi pazwem idabzawi I Anisa Jomha za wishwistlelni na ekreni posta destiny I Torem Nazwal Ethania Klana PDF. I cannot say any of these words. I know I'm saying this all wrong, but you have to read it all, you know. Docs perfect. But basically, Ethan Klein is suing iDubbbz. Let me translate it real quick. Ethan Klein is suing iDubbbz for using this Destiny. This was in his Discord, right? This Destiny Discord message that read, "Quick daily reminder that Ethan from H3H3 is likely a pedophile who has molested his own children." And I believe this was a message sent within his Discord. And iDubbbz decided to make it like a watermark for his video or stream one day. Sorry, it was for a full stream. It was for a stream, and he used it as like a watermark as like an overlay over everything for some reason. And Nicholas DiOrio is actually coming out against Ethan suing him. Look at that bald mark. We can see it. We can see the baldness. He's thinning. It's because everyone's turning against him now, even Nicholas. Even Nikolai. But Nicholas DiOrio said, "I can't for the life of me fathom why it would be a flex to cease and desist the two poor losers in Canada over them showing a comment a completely different person said without pursuing Destiny." Agreed. What's even the point, literally? Something like this warrants a video shitting on him, not a defamation suit. It doesn't even warrant that. Starving them basically killed their streams. And while that is true, I don't... It's funny because it does show where like the goals of DiOrio lie. Because it really is just on like because maybe it is Ethan being more petty, but I don't know. It's like the point that is that Destiny was making it like in a Discord call, I feel, or like in a Discord chat, offhandedly. Could you say that he's spreading a defamatory claim? Yes, but I feel like the actual claim of the impact would be much lesser without first establishing the impact of iDubbbz using it as like an overlay on a stream, which would have like a higher impact than just honestly, probably not. I bet Destiny's message actually probably saw more eyes than it did on iDubbbz's stream, to be fair. So maybe that is a good point, actually. If you're at the grocery store this morning, get out of my damn way. I mean, you're not wrong. People got to just move over. The Pope is against any retaliation ever, to be fair. Can't go after sponsors, can't sue. Whatever the person does, come on. Ethan is definitely going to lose in the realm of public perspective, but maybe he's more interested in correction of the record in official capacity. But that won't sway people. Yeah, I mean, I think the point is, like, at the end of the day, we live in a world that's kind of like, and I guess specifically the country that I live in, that we live in, the United States, has these laws on free speech, or has, this, free speech established within its laws. And I think that there should be it's like there's obvious limitations to free speech. And I think that it is good to set a precedent in general. And I guess the argument could be made in both regards about if it's a justifiable moment to try and establish this precedent. And I guess I could probably be swayed one way or the other, but I don't necessarily care all that much to defend iDubbbz and be like, no, don't sue him. No, don't spend your money. Just go waste it at Disney or something else. I don't really care. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me all that much. But I guess if the point is just he doesn't like retaliation aside from just trying to get them to leave on their own accord. Shit talk until they just can't take it anymore. I do love the petty, especially if he can actually win. Yeah, it's like and that's the thing is, like I'm saying, is you could probably make the argument that it's like, what are the actual damages being done? He's such, at this point, iDubbbz doesn't necessarily have the platform to damage Ethan in like a major way, so maybe you could make that argument. But again, it's like I don't necessarily care that much. I think the point Ethan is making is that he's done letting people do and say whatever they want about him without consequences. It's working. There's way less lies, I feel, from other people or from these people. Yeah, and I think that the point is like they feel vindicated within certain contexts where it started off where it's like, I'm saying all these things I think are true. Well, now I'm saying these things because Ethan's crazy and he's only suing women. Oh, so I'm going to be a man and I can stay up and I can sue and I can say whatever I want. And now he's like, okay, well, I'll sue you too. It's like, if that's the point, if that's the hill you want to die on, is that I'm not going to sue you, fine. And yeah, so I don't know. It's it could go either ways for me. I don't necessarily, like I said, I really don't necessarily care that much. And I think that Nicholas Diorio coming out against it is kind of just comical, if anything, because it's just kind of, one, he's wrong, because again, it's like a Discord message is different than like posted publicly, like on a stream. So I don't know, that does feel like a different, it does feel like a difference there. But then also it's like, who really cares if it can be filed and it can go through and it works, then it clearly wasn't pointless. But I don't know. Ethan's clearly having a hard time though, because he's balding. Things are going bad for him. And as we can see, even within this last episode, it's gone from this. Look at that. Terrible. Ugh. What? How? It's gone from that to this. All within one episode, within the span of 2 hours. See, this was posted 3 hours ago. This was posted 1 hour ago. Ew. He's got the Friar Tuck. Is this guy albino? This Friar Tuck looks albino. Am I seeing double? There's something there. Quite perturbing. Shiny dome, though? You know, one thing I noticed... I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. There was an image that they posted. I think it was on Instagram. Let me see if I can find it. It was a picture of... Maybe they didn't post it on Instagram. Maybe I saw it on Reddit. Maybe it was a fan post. But it was a post with Dan and Tom. It had both Dan and Tom in it. And when I saw it, I noticed the difference in their heads. I was like, Dan's head is much more matte. Like, it's much more like, it doesn't have the gloss. And Tom's head is extremely glossy. He's got that high gloss protection put on it. That shine off the dome. You know what I mean? So the light bounces straight off so you don't get burns. It's kind of smart if you think about it. Did someone mention it's Canada versus US laws? Easier to sue in Canada from what Ethan mentioned. Well, I mean, that's part of it. But also, like I'm saying, I mean, I don't think that... Like, I do think that I don't know, personally, I do feel like a Discord message is more privately stated than a public statement. And to be... I mean, to be fair to both of them, didn't he say probably? Hey, probably gets you out of anything. Allegedly. Who's alleging it? Me. To be honest, I see both Ethan and Nick's sides and respect them both. It is petty AF, but he's a self-proclaimed petty bitch, so you can't hate what somebody owns. Well, I guess you can. Yeah, you definitely can. But you gotta respect it. But now we move in to the important stuff. Important with a question mark. English as a first language, episode number 2 from Conduit, Taylor Lorenz. This video isn't as long as the ones that they usually make. The last ones, I spent 1 week watching Matt Walsh. A week with Matt Walsh sounds like life in hell. Could not be me. But Taylor Lorenz has English as a first language. Who'd have thunk? But English as a first language, episode number 2, Taylor Lorenz by Conduit. Let's check it out.
Between May of 2025 and early January 2026, Elon Musk's AI Grok found increasing popularity with certain Twitter users for creating sexualized deepfakes of other users' photos as a way to troll and harass them. Bloomberg reported that at one point over 6,700 image requests were being made per hour, affecting both women and children. Though Grok has been updated to restrict its image creation capabilities, this was just another in a long line of incidents that have led to louder and louder calls on lawmakers to regulate social media platforms and to protect the kids who use them from potential abuse and harms to their mental health. The solutions drafted thus far have been met with skepticism and criticisms ranging from data privacy issues to
oh my god, enough with the panic about kids using smartphones.
Taylor Lorenz is a tech journalist who has written multiple articles and made several videos about this proposed legislation, its effects and unintended consequences, as well as about the state of social media itself.
In response to this media-driven outcry, this fear among
I think the problem is you could probably argue Taylor Lorenz's position if you just had a heavier emphasis on like parental intervention or something, you know what I mean, where you're like saying that parents should be the ones that are you know, taking a little bit more control over their children's like usage and stuff like that. Like if you made it more like of a social, like more a social issue than a legal issue. But if that was the thing that you were going to do, like that should be stated more clearly. But also it's like basically what you'd be saying is kids should be able to use the internet as much as possible, but probably just shouldn't post on it. They should use it as much as they can, but just don't post. Which is, again, I think it's a very hard argument to make, but at least that feels more grounded than just saying that these things are just inherently bad.
Among older generations has reached a terrifying fever pitch. Recently, much of this panic has been driven by the mainstream media and one man, an author named Jonathan Haidt. But although many of Haidt's claims about the dangers of young people using social media feel true, especially to parents, boomers, and media pundits,
I think the arguments she's put forward about social media restrictions warrant some dissection to see what they really mean and what you should take away from them. Like, subscribe, Patreon, merch. Now let's get this TV rolling.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree, but we can't depend on all parents to do that. So we got to get lawmakers involved, and that's the argument I would make. But I was giving kind of a steel man to like it's a poor one at that, but just trying to, you know, play devil's advocate a little bit, I guess. And I do think that it's in general, it's like we need the laws established and then have the social conversation as well, because the companies, like these platforms, should be held accountable in some regard. But again, it's like establishing the laws will be able to figure out to what level they should be held accountable.
Haidt's book is like catnip for white, suburban, upper middle class parents, media figures, and politicians who, rather than address the complex and systemic issues shaping most people's experience of the world, crave a quick fix. And smartphones and social media are a really easy scapegoat. Social media is dominated by companies that have spent.
She talks like like work training videos. Are you excited to be a part of our team? We are so happy to have you here. Let's get started with this safety video about mass casualty events. They always have that like upbeat mood while talking about the most crazy stuff.
Social media are a really easy scapegoat. Social media is dominated by.
I guess it's probably because she's reading a script, which no hate on scripts, but it's definitely coming across as reading a script.
Companies.
Yeah, very much HR vibes.
That have spent the past decade putting profit above the safety and well-being of their user base. They rely on fundamentally exploitative and irresponsible business models that no serious person would argue haven't led to some real-world harm.
Now, what she has established is social media's dominance in culture also makes it an
HR vibes, but in the worst way. She's the reason people hate HR.
easy target.
Remember, HR isn't there to help you. They're there to help the company.
And social media's main problems are isolated to data privacy issues. The result is, by keeping the most directly relevant issues of social media outside the broad framework of digital privacy, she can present unrelated criticisms as a distraction.
Those who actually study these topics professionally say that the science is not even remotely clear-cut and often shows the opposite of the narrative that Haidt is pushing. For instance, just last year, a massive study and review of research around kids and technology use concluded that social media is actually one of the least influential factors in predicting kids' mental health. Just recently, the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine released a report that found essentially no significant link between young people's social media use and mental health problems, leading.
I just don't. I mean, I'd love to. I guess I need to read these studies. I just find that so hard to believe because of all of the like literally specific cases that you could outline, going back to, I mean, even before Amanda Todd. But like, if we go to Amanda Todd, back when that happened, up to today, how many of these like specific cases can you talk about of somebody taking their own life because of things that are happening online? Now, is that the only aspect of their mental health, like the issues surrounding their mental health? No, but it seems to exacerbate the issues where someone was being bullied at school or, you know, was feeling this mental distress at home, cannot find an escape through the internet and just finds another place in which they are ostracized or harmed in some way. I guess I need to read the study. I just find that so incredibly hard to believe.
Developmental psychologist Candace L. Odgers, who has studied smartphones and social media use in children since 2008, said that she and her colleagues have, quote, repeatedly failed to find compelling support for the claim that digital technology use is a major contributor to adolescent depression and other mental health symptoms. Hundreds of other contributor to adolescent depression.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like it's obviously a multifaceted issue because the whole I'm gonna get it wrong. Is it serotonin or dopamine? It's dopamine, right? Serotonin? Both? But basically it's like, you know, these platforms are giving you these like chemical boosts within your body that might, you know, help alleviate you from your depressive states. But in that same way, it can, again, exacerbate the issues even more. So do I feel like maybe that's why it would be like it wouldn't skew necessarily in one direction over the other, but I don't know. It just, yeah, digital technologies. Yeah, digital technology use. I'd also, that seems very vague. It's not very specific as well. She's using this as just a catch-all for Yeah, they're just saying digital technology. Is that just a catch? Because yeah, if you're lumping it all together, I'd like to know specifically about social media.
Depression, and other mental health symptoms. Hundreds of other research papers, articles, and reviews have reached the exact same conclusions.
Now, this is important because it's an example of something not inherently bad until it's applied. There are a lot of studies done on the connection between social media and adolescent mental health. However, she does not present the way these studies came to this conclusion, instead choosing to quote from those conclusions. She also doesn't list her sources in the description of the video, but I also have an issue with doing that consistently, so I can't judge. But it is an issue. The result here is that it is an expectation that we should trust these sources for their conclusions, rather than understanding why they came to these conclusions.
As Reason Magazine's Aaron Brown recently noted, many of the research papers that Haidt cites in the anxious generation.
I wish he would have outlined them more, like if he could have found these studies.
Contain coding errors, inappropriate statistics. He relies on irrelevant or outdated data, or data collected for totally different purposes, analyzed in really flawed ways. Haidt cites 476 studies in his book that seem to represent this overwhelming case, but 2/3 of those studies were published before 2010, as in before the period that Haidt even focuses on in his book. So many of the studies that Haidt cites either have major methodological errors or don't actually say what he claims they do. Haidt also displays.
You're reading from a script, you're cutting and editing this video. You could have said methodological again.
Graphs throughout his book showing that digital technology use and young people's mental health problems are rising together. But this doesn't really show anything. You could also put graphs showing an increase in young people wearing baggy pants over the past few years. That doesn't mean that the two things are causally related. And many mental health conditions have always arisen during puberty, even before smartphones existed. But this false notion that phones are causing an unprecedented mental health crisis is an irresistible narrative to parents who are primed to believe that their children are in constant danger from.
Again, you could make like a very strong argument here that parents are using it as a scapegoat, where they aren't actually appropriately dealing with their child's mental health needs, and are instead just using a scapegoat of social media to ignore the actual mental health crises that we're seeing, like seemingly like growing. And again, it's like, again, there's questions there about whether or not it's like it's growing, or if it's always been an issue and people were just very much undiagnosed. And again, like all of these things are interesting, but that's not the conversation being had. Like there are a lot of interesting conversations that could be had, but this is just trying to speak around them, I suppose. I think it's because she genuinely believing her own lies at this point. Like, I think she has whatever mental illness makes you believe your own lies. This is coming from someone very mentally ill. LOL. I just don't want to misspeak, but like, I don't know if it's bipolar or something that triggers delusional thoughts like that. My sister does that, but she's not diagnosed with anything because she refuses to get help. Yeah, I think yeah, that's interesting, because I was gonna say a pathological liar, but a pathological liar knows that they're lying, they just do it. I know there is a condition for it, but that is possible. And I think that it's also possible to just get, lost in the sauce. You start liking the smell of your own farts a little too much. Just a little bit's okay. No, but it's just an interest. Yeah, like everything about Taylor Lorenz feels very very performative and like polished, but in like the worst way. Like it's not done very well. Probably just a narcissist. That's what I was thinking too, is maybe a narcissist, but I don't know if a narcissist necessarily. I guess a narcissist might believe their own lies. That's possible.
From nefarious outside forces.
Now, here's where it gets interesting. There are several valid critiques of Haidt's analysis.
I guess it would also be an aspect of like cognitive dissonance, probably. Like that would probably be an aspect of it. It's just a high level of cognitive dissonance.
Of teens and social media use. However, and this did take some investigation into the citations being used here, the Reason magazine article being referenced specifically goes into how studies on subjective topics like this can be very unreliable without insight into their methodology. For all intents, Lorenz is doing the same thing she's criticizing by not elaborating on the studies beyond their conclusions.
The problem isn't just that the moral panic around smartphones and children is total BS. It's also incredibly dangerous because it
So I'm looking, I found two different websites, one from HHS and the other from Johns Hopkins, and they both say that there are an impact. Recent research indicates that those who spend more time on social media tend to show more symptoms of depression. However, there could be a number of reasons for this association, including social isolation, lack of healthy activities, and lack of sleep. Depression is complex and has many risk factors, including a genetic predisposition, aspects of the surrounding environment, and personal experiences, which are not so directly related to social media use patterns.
We call those people cluster B. It covers histrionic personality disorder. Shout out to any Jimmy fans, lol.
I always forget that there's those terms. Is it just cluster A and cluster B? Because I've heard those like every so often, but I always forget that there's those more like overarching classifications. Thank you for that. Thank you for the $5. Really appreciate that. And appreciate the knowledge as well. Further, depression and suicidality have increased as the number of people on social media and the number of social media platforms have increased. Katzenstein reminds us that this is a correlation, not a causation. This is correlational, not causational, but it cannot be overlooked as a factor in adolescent and teen mental health. So this is kind of the point, right? Is that it's not causational where, yeah, you might not say that the social media is like impacting them directly, but it is the impact of social media on the other aspects of their life as a whole. Yeah, so, and it's complex. This other one on HHS goes into the positive and negative impacts, but it also says we cannot conclude that social media is sufficiently safe for children and adolescents. We can take immediate action to take social media safer for youth. How can we take action? And specifically, here's what policymakers can do. Strengthen protections to ensure greater safety for protection or for children and adolescents interacting with all social media platforms by developing age-appropriate health and safety standards for technology platforms, require a higher standard of data privacy for children and adolescents, pursue policies that further limit access in ways that minimize the risk of harm to social media for all children and adolescents. And here's the thing, is as someone who grew up, like I literally was a child. I was a young child in the throes of the internet, the hellscape that it once was. Like because what? Yes, I would have been 11 years old. I remember seeing the video, the Luca Magnotta murder of Jun Lin. Like I saw that video on the clear web, on Googleable, easy to find. I saw that at 11 years old. There are obviously some restrictions that we should be having so that children aren't exposed to that type of material. Outside of bullying and this and that and all these other things, the internet has been a terrible, disgusting place for so long, and we should have some kind of restrictions. Like, obviously, we should allow people to experiment and to reach outside of their comfort zone. And it's good to have media and have like evidence of different world happenings. But there's also a lot of horrible, evil stuff that happens on the internet as well that we can't just sweep under the rug because of the hope for what could be. I remember that. Don't fuck with cats. Well, I'm not talking about the cats video. I'm talking about when he murdered a guy and cut him up and fed him to a puppy. That was a full video that was posted on a horror site originally, and like they thought that it was like, oh, it's just a horror video. This is clearly just like a fake thing. But it was a real murder, and he was actually found in a coffee shop Googling himself. And like I think that as an individual, I've since a very young age been very introspective. I've thought about things very deeply. Like I remember in 3rd grade, kids being like, we chase around the girls at lunch, and when you chase around the girl that lets you catch them, that's the girl that likes you. And I remember in 3rd grade literally thinking, why not just talk to them? Why not just have a conversation with these girls and figure out which like you like to talk to more? What kind of weird like. And so when I saw that video, I was able to kind of like in my own brain kind of work through it and, you know, deal with it internally. But I can only imagine the amount of children that saw it that didn't have that same level of like, just, I don't even know if introspection is necessarily the right word to use, but just like internal analysis that like were just more heavily impacted by it. Yeah, and 2 men and the 2 men and a screwdriver or 2 men and a hammer. Because the Luca Magnotta video, I'm not going to say what it was called. I was about to just say what the video was called, but I feel like you probably can still find it online, so I'm not going to say it. But yes. Even as an adult, dealing with seeing fucked places on the internet is hard. I can't imagine as a kid having so much accessibility to that. Yeah, and that's what I mean, is it's been, like, you could literally just look up, like, you know, Mr. Hands and, like, related content to that on Google and find Google images of zoophilia. We're trying to use some real terms here, but, like, you could literally just Google that and find zoophilia photos, which is horrible and crazy. And the fact that that was ever, like, allowed just, like, is insane. And again, it's not as accessible as it once was, and that's good. But the fact that children are still able to be exposed to it proves that there needs to be some higher level of, like, oversight here.
Mainstreams this really regressive worldview that is.
I had a really good older brother who actively shielded me from those videos. I had a I didn't have a bad older brother. I had a wild older brother. You know those ones? Great guy. We won't get into it. But he's the one who introduced me to Filthy Frank. But he was going through his own stuff. He was 5 years older than me. I didn't talk to him about that video. I didn't talk to anybody except for people in my school. I talked about, I was like, that was a crazy video I saw. You'd think that type of stuff would be on the dark web. Yeah, it's not. You can literally find, like, snuff films online. And I remember I saw a video once where somebody was trying to say that snuff films don't exist. And it genuinely baffled me. Because I was like, yes, there are no, like, you know, cannibal holocaust that are real. Like, there are no, for anyone that doesn't know, that was a movie that was filmed that they thought was a legitimate snuff film, and the director had to go to trial for it and prove, no, these actors are still alive. Talk to them. Here they are. But, like, there is obviously no, like, filmed actors talking and doing, like, scripted movies and then dying in it and having that filmed. Like, that, probably not, but there are definitely videos of people dying that were filmed to be made as, like, murder videos. And I don't know, it's so crazy to me that people like to just, again, it's like sweeping it under the rug that these things aren't real and aren't accessible to children, and shouldn't be. I remember seeing a court case about CSAM, and the judge said at the end that the most surprising thing is how accessible it all was. No, yeah, yeah, exactly. It's just, and we don't think about it. It's like, I mean, look back at, like, Anonymous. We need you back, Anonymous. Please, 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 Anonymous, help us. Who remembers when Anonymous took down an FBI website and there was like a big outlash from the government being like, oh, this and that. But the reason that Anonymous took down this FBI website is because it was linked to multiple CSAM websites that were probably like, you call them honeypot sites, right? They're like honeypot sites to try and catch predators, but they were hosting illegal material on the internet. And so Anonymous like took them down. And it's like, when it's literally being hosted by the government, what can you do other than try and create laws to keep children from seeing it? Like, what can we do? If the people creating the laws are the ones doing it, we can only hope to hold them to task. That's like all we can hope. You know what I mean? Is to create the laws and then hold them to task is the only ways that we can make that work. In Mexico back in the day, there was a very popular site, Not Dark Web, about narco videos. It was everywhere, yeah. And I mean, even all those videos are like still pretty available. Like, you know, there's still like a lot of, you know, nowadays it's not ISIS beheading videos, it's Ukrainian drone footage. Like there's a video that was going around of like a knife fight that happened. That was like a crazy video of this knife fight. And then again, it's showing you how accessible this media is, where it was a video of this knife fight where the Russian soldier killed the Ukrainian soldier. And then an image came out later of the guy looking at his phone after having watched the video. And you can see the like 1,000-yard stare from this guy watching from the Ukrainian's perspective of him getting murdered. Like him being like, he watched himself kill somebody from their own perspective. It's like the most insane like thought that's like the world that we live in nowadays, is that's the things that you can see. And like them again, it's all so crazy. But let Taylor Lorenz explain to us why it's all good and that kids should be able to see all of this stuff that you can see on Instagram. Like at this point, that's where it all is. Like you can literally see most of this stuff on Instagram. It might get taken down after a few hours, but like, just crazy.
It's resulting in legislation that
there's layers to this shit.
Strips young people of civil liberties and ultimately.
Here late, but glad you're here at all. Thanks for stopping in. But sorry, let me run it back just a little bit so we can get her full statement here.
He's criticizing by not elaborating on the studies beyond their conclusions.
The problem isn't just that the moral panic around smartphones and children is total BS. It's also incredibly dangerous because it mainstreams this really regressive worldview that is resulting in legislation that strips young people of civil liberties and ultimately causes immense harm to the most vulnerable kids, especially young women and LGBTQ youth. Researchers who actually study these issues have said time and time and time again that things like access to guns, sexual abuse, discrimination, racism, sexism, the opioid epidemic, economic hardship, and just the general state of the world are all far more influential factors in affecting young people's mental health. But it doesn't matter because
and again, it's like it's the accessibility to these things through social media. Is that not the point that she's making? Like that seems like a clear, like that's the analysis that like would be drawn there.
Height is pushing feels true. It feels like the easiest explanation, especially to older people like those in the media and Congress. Height and this cadre of media pundits pushing this smartphone freakout say that there is this urgent need for government action to restrict young people's access to smartphones and social media. And that's leading to really scary laws that will restrict young people's access to information and take away their voices online. No more TikTok. It's back to CNN and mainstream media for the news, and don't you dare question.
Now we have an example of whataboutism. This is a moral panic, and it's causing harms to kids because it sweeps up all the good ways they can use social media. But she also says that there are other issues that cause more harm to kids psychologically.
I don't think that's what she means. I think the point she was making is she drew a very clear analysis that you could make and then went, that just feels right. Like, I feel like that's what she did. And maybe that's just me and my feelings, you know? I don't really feel like it. I feel like that's what she was trying to do, but it just didn't land because what she said did just seem to make sense. I think she's saying those global events affect kids more, and there is a need for the internet for kids. But that's my point, is the counter, like literally the analysis to be drawn there is that all of those things are true, but it's the accessibility to those ideas through social media, through an ineffective like presenter. Because if you're not getting it from like a school or a parent or somebody that's trying to like thoroughly explain it, the best you're going to get is like a comment section where people are just going to be like back and forth trying to give you like their own opinions, instead of like actually trying to sit down and like figure out how to analyze what you're seeing. So like I feel like her, like I guess I get the point that she's trying to make, but it falls flat completely.
Without specifying that the level of harm caused by social media, even if it's less, is also below a reasonable threshold. There is no justification for the reaction people are having to social media because other issues are worse, except for wanting to control kids' access to information.
I wish banning kids from social media and taking away their smartphones would solve all of their problems and give them a happy and carefree childhood. Unfortunately, I'm a millennial in my late 30s.
Really?
And I'm old enough to actually remember what a cell phone and social media free childhood was actually like. And let me tell you, it was not the perfect world that Haidt and the media would have you believe.
Did you watch a guy get cut up on the internet, Taylor? Did you? Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And I know sometimes it's like, yeah, I saw a guy, dead downtown. Like, there's things you see in the real world too, but again, it's about the accessibility. It's like you see different things. It's just different. Like, it's just, I'm sorry, but it's just, I have like from my own experience such a clear example. And if you're going to try and argue with me that that isn't like horrible, like, come on.
Your entire world was restricted to your physical reality, and you had absolutely no voice in the political system or ability to connect with anyone outside your immediate geographic area. It was an especially brutal time for young women and kids from marginalized groups. The mainstream media dominated everyone's information diet, and there was no way for young people to organize, dissent, or be heard. This is why you see nearly every major civil liberties group, LGBTQ organization, and human rights groups vehemently fighting against these proposed federal and state mandated social media restrictions on young people. For the most marginalized kids, social media is a lifeline. And even for non-marginalized kids, it provides a window and access to a broader world outside of a young person's physical reality. This is why far-right conservatives are so focused on cutting it off. They don't want kids to learn about the world around them through social media. They don't want them questioning mainstream media narratives and, for instance, becoming aware of things like the atrocities happening in Gaza or questioning the power of the 80-year-olds who run this country. Haidt and those pushing this social media phone
I think that kids should be the ones questioning the authority, but if you expect the children to be the ones making the change, like, they're supposed to be our future. They shouldn't be having to make the change now. Like, you know what I mean? Put them on social media so that they can speak out against Joe Biden. What about all of us? What about you? You're young enough, right?
panic ironically want to coddle children. They want to keep them off the internet and restrict their social connections, which ultimately leaves them less informed and naive to the possibility of a better world. People in power recognize this as the end result. This is why lawmakers have expressed support for the TikTok ban, falsely claiming that the app is harming young people's mental health and, quote, poisoning their mind. This idea that the phone is a nefarious object.
My whole thing is this, is like, I don't necessarily think we should ban all apps. Oh, make this and that. But it's like, if you already have an age restriction, like most of these platforms state that you can't get on them until you're 13 years old. Maybe even that's too young. But if we're going to establish that as like the baseline, then we need to figure out a way to make sure that there's no kids under 13 getting on these platforms. Because legitimately, it's like, so many of these different people that are like, what are you talking about? My fan base is mostly 20-year-olds. They're mostly 30-year-olds. Like, look at this. I have so many 80-year-olds watching me for some reason. I remember being 9 years old going on YouTube. Being like a kid getting on YouTube. Make an account. Oh, how old am I going to be? Scroll up to the oldest year. Oh, 1900. I'm 100-something years old. Boom. Cool. I wonder how that skews somebody's statistics. You know what I mean? Like, that's what kids do. They don't care if all they're doing is putting in numbers. They're going to go, yup, I'm 18. Yeah, I'm 20. I'm 21. Perfect. You know, I think 23 is kind of cool. I'm going to go with that number. Like, come on.
That might brainwash your children into becoming mentally ill or gay is echoed by people like Haidt and those in Congress.
Where the prior segment was whataboutism, now we get to Mott and Bailey, the use of a defensible position to shield one's more indefensible position. Here we have the Mott, life before the internet and social media was more disconnected. That runs cover for the Bailey. The government, both sides, not just Republicans, is running a coordinated effort to keep people ignorant and to keep kids from making the world better. What that tells you is that this isn't actually about potential to harm kids. This is about keeping people slaves to capitalism, rather than individuals taking advantage of an already existing concern.
Setting aside the fact that being gay or trans isn't some sort of contagious diagnosis, and young girls do not struggle with mental health issues for
Taylor, I'm not saying you shouldn't go online because you shouldn't, because it's gonna make you be gay. I'm saying you shouldn't be able to go online at 9 because you're going to see people dying. You're going to see on Instagram, you're going to watch someone get hit by a car and like their like body get flung across the street. And there's not even going to be a censor on it for some reason. Like, yes, these things are bad. Like, come on. It's just creating the weakest straw man ever.
Clout. Haidt's commentary is consistent.
She's got a point, but through and slop. She's right about marginalized kids having a lifeline, especially if they're in hostile environments. Regulate PLS.
No, exactly. It's about creating regulation, not just a full stamping out of like, you know, getting rid of people's voices. But again, I think my point stands that it's good for marginalized kids to have a voice and to have like an outlet in some regard, but we also shouldn't be expecting them to be the change in the world in the moment. It's like, again, they are our future and they should be our future. They shouldn't have to be, you know, fighting the battles online right now. They should be able to enjoy their childhood more.
Used by the far right and liberals alike to push these.
Yeah, I'm not saying the internet's the best place for that. It's just the most realistic alternative. No, for sure. And yeah, it's like, you know, if you're living in like a right-wing community or something, a super conservative community, and you're very liberal and you don't feel like you have an outlet, it's good to have those outlets online. But again, it's like establishing ways in which, if we want to have kids on these platforms or have like platforms specifically for kids, again, it's like establish a way where it makes sense and is able to keep kids safe. Because it's like every platform that isn't for kids has creepy people on it. Every platform that is just for kids, eventually those creepy people find it and they flock to it. And so yeah, it's definitely difficult. But she's also, it's like, there's so many different levels to this and layers that like just make it so difficult to get what, like, she just basically wants it to be the Wild West. Like, there's no other way to understand it other than that. Because if you want kids to be able to use social media, then you maybe should have some type of identification like process, but she's against online IDing. And like, so it's like, you know what I mean? It's like it just doesn't seem to correlate. It doesn't seem to work like well together. I don't know.
Backwards laws built off faulty logic. As Candace Odgers recently wrote in The Atlantic, two things can be true. First,
I was hella groomed on Kick and Line. I remember using Kick. I got off there real quick.
First, the online spaces where young people spend so much time require massive reform. And second, social media is not rewiring children's brains or causing an epidemic of mental illness. And focusing
again, it's because again, that's like the other straw man which we were reading before. It's not about the causation, it's about the correlation. And if there's a correlation there, we should maybe see like what is the, and that's like the point I've made about a lot of things is like if there's a correlation happening, even if there isn't a causation, we should maybe figure out what we can do about it. Because there's obviously something going on. And I think it's just an exacerbation. I really don't think that it's some cause. It's just going to worsen an already established problem. Or, I mean, honestly, it might, like in the same way that like drug use can, I could imagine social media also causing like forms of psychosis in people that might not have had it prior. Like that totally seems plausible. And I've experienced somebody that was in like a technological psychosis where they thought they were like communicating through the internet, and like they literally thought that they were explaining it to me and were saying that they were like in a YouTube comment section, and then all of a sudden it became this game, and like all of this stuff started happening. And like when they were explaining it to me, I was like, man, I gotta get you help. I was like, we gotta figure this out now. But like that was literally the conversation they were having with me. So I don't think that necessarily it is the cause, but if you have somebody that's socially isolated and is just zoned in on the internet as like their fixation, that can only worsen the issues that they're already facing.
Solely on social media as the problem means that the real causes of these mental disorders and distress among young people go unaddressed. We should not send the message to families or teenagers that social media use is inherently damaging, shameful, or harmful. It's simply not true. Ajers writes that what she and her fellow researchers have seen from studying young people and social media is that they mostly use these tools to do regular adolescent stuff. They connect with offline friends from school, listen to music, watch shows, play video games with friends, and they watch YouTube videos like this one. Young people use social media and smartphones to seek out information about health, gender identity, to get support. For many marginalized kids and those who don't have support in their family or school lives, the internet is a safe space. It's a refuge. It's a place to explore, connect, be creative, and
I get the concerns of ID verification without regulation against data brokers and other stuff, but it's something that may be necessary depending on what it is. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the thing. Yeah, is it's like we need to. It's just people go. There aren't enough laws established, so these laws would these other laws that we want to bring out would just hinder us more. And it's like, doesn't that like again? It sounds bad. Again, it sounds bad. Like she was saying, when you talk about more laws, adding more laws on, but everybody believes in laws. Everybody believes in laws and regulations on some level. So again, it's about defining as many regulations as we can and then voting on them and being like, is this good? Is that good? Oh, no, that is going too far. That isn't going too far. But just outright saying that any type of like it just doesn't work out. Like it's a hindrance to progress for sure. My sister had an episode of tech psychosis before where she thought all of the Bluetooth devices in her house were hacked and listening to everything she said. So she threw out all our headphones and shit. Yeah, see. And that's the thing too, is it's like there's different types of like psychosis that happen too, where people can experience different things, because you can have like visual hallucinations or auditory hallucinations, or, you know, there's all types of, you know, different, you can have like no hallucinations and just be having disjointed thoughts and stuff like that. Like, so it's all super complicated. And again, the isolation that is caused through the internet becomes the issue.
Learn. It's quite literally a lifeline.
This is just a faulty assumption. Adolescents are using social media in constructive.
We have a title but no thumbnail. Oh, Chinese girlfriend. Chinese girlfriend.
Ways, assuming that information is being acquired correctly and understood correctly. From videos like this one, there's both sidesism intending to put the blame on everyone rather than one side that's specifically more at fault, and there's the conflation of struggles with mental health and the performance of struggles with mental health that's done for attention on social media. The nondescript issues with social media are minor compared to the ones that are overblown by the media, and kids can and will be effectively educated by their parents on how to use the internet and social media when they aren't being observed.
Some of the top academics studying kids and technology use said this, quote, "We believe the current slate of concerns around youth and social media use meet the criteria for a moral panic. Being able to recognize the moral panic about smartphones and social media use that Haidt and much of the mainstream media is pushing is perhaps best accomplished by examining the moral panics of decades past. Each time technology and media evolve, pundits will argue that this new technology or media is fundamentally..."
She's about to be like, stop being Luddites.
different. Many of the arguments against allowing young people to read novels are nearly word for word the arguments used today against social media and TikTok. Some people sought to institute age limits on reading the news, lest young people learn too much about the world around them for their young age.
That's literally, I think she is maybe just so lost in her own sauce that she thinks that the criticism is about the information that they're obtaining. Children shouldn't be able to get information. Again, it's like, because she would disagree. It's like, so you think that, and maybe she does. Maybe she does think kids should be allowed to watch Nick Fuentes. And maybe they should. Maybe they should be allowed. But it's about what Nick Fuentes should be allowed to say and what the platforms are allowed to, push out. And yeah, I feel like she's dancing around every interesting conversation, and it's kind of bothering me. Because it's like, I feel like there's a point that could be made for everything that she's saying, but then it's like the point that's to be made is only parallel to the point that she's making, which is just that bad people disagree with me, good people agree with me, and the agreement is only on the point that more social media is good. It's just very vague, I feel.
Notable that these moral panics are always pushed forward by academics, pundits, and concerned suburban white parents. Every single time, the same group of academic pundits, parents groups, and the media work together to whip up a frenzy, making the same exact arguments about TikTok as they did about novels, comic books, television, Walkmans, beepers, and more.
This isn't a good analogy, even though
I'm 34 and started going online at like 10. It was gross then, and being a mother of a small child and the thought of them going online scares me to no end. And I think, okay, that's a good point. You're 34. Taylor Lorenz claims to be around your age. If you had the internet by 10, her saying that she experienced a childhood without the internet, it's like, it could be true. She could have just not had the internet like in her home. But I think that almost speaks to the fact that she didn't have a childhood with the internet. And that's the thing, is she's coming from it from an outside perspective of someone who hasn't had that like experience with creeps on the internet, crazy videos that you see, everything outside of this obtaining knowledge, which can be done outside of social media. Like, again, I'm not necessarily against screen time. Like, I am at young ages. Like, there's doctor recommended like screen time for based on ages, but once they're able to start like having more screen time, it's like the platforms that they're on. Yeah, of course they can go research and learn new things and go look up, these different, but it's like, why do they need to get all of their why do they need to get all of their information from like TikTok videos and like Instagram posts? Why is that their outlet? Like, why is that their intake? She grew up in rural Montana. Okay, so I guess maybe she might not have had internet. I guess that's possible then. I don't believe that she's 35 though.
Though in Lorenz's words, it feels right. This moral panic is equivalent to all prior moral panics and can therefore be dismissed. The issues with social media themselves are equivalent to the issues with prior media and communications advancements. So despite your own conclusions being unresolved by this argument, you should dismiss them anyway without the knowledge to articulate why. Because there are valid reasons for concern about social media compared to concerns about the phones themselves.
Let's see what Fupa Troop is sending me.
Taylor, because I've heard that you're a big fan of Hassan.
Oh yeah, I saw they did this. I think I talked about this briefly. I didn't watch it all the way through. Oh my God, why is this happening?
And you said that you're critical of everybody, including left. So what is one criticism of Hassan that you have? Just to dispel this notion that you're in the Hassan camp. Because I've heard this a lot. And I'm just it doesn't sound like it. So I want to give you a chance to say what you've been critical of Hassan for.
I think one thing that Hassan could do better, and I'm sympathetic to, I am on the left, and I actually think Hassan gets a lot of like bad faith attacks, so I'm mostly defending him. I think one thing he could do better is speak about issues on specific policies. I think he focuses a lot on foreign policy. I think he doesn't focus enough on tech policy, on other, policy areas that I think he could do.
Her only criticism of Hassan is he should talk about more stuff that I like. He should care about the things that I care about more.
Do a lot of good in.
That's
And
not
I think
that is literally not a criticism. Because she's not saying that he should talk about policy in general more. She's just saying that he should redirect his focus into specifically the policy that she cares about.
This is a lot more on sort of these bigger issues that maybe get a lot more attention, and that's his job as a content creator. But I think he kind of ignores
Scathing,
a lot
Taylor.
of.
That's going to get clipped. Hassan's going to not be your friend anymore after you said that really awful, mean thing to him.
Well, everything I say, I will say to people's faces as well. And to your point, by the way, about the dark money stuff, just because Clavicular isn't currently, as far as we can tell, funded by dark money, that doesn't mean that I don't hear your point that Democrats should use that is a very legitimate argument to have.
Hasn't it basically been proven that he's being paid by Peter Thiel? Hasn't that been basically proven? But I guess shout out Hassan, shout out Clavicular.
Go watch Turkish iDubbbz stream.
Many young people today are too isolated. As the technology and media scholar Dana Boyd recently explained on my podcast Power User, kids today are not growing up in the same world that their parents or people like Jonathan Haidt did.
These people are so brainwashed, it's crazy. If you ask me to criticize Ethan, I can go on for hours. No, literally, and I've done it before where we've had like conversations about the criticisms that we have. And that's the thing is, it's just that all of the criticisms that people levy are just so unfounded. Find legitimate criticisms and just levy those at him. Don't just be like, oh, well, it's all... Don't just pull a Destiny and say something crazy in your Discord because it's funny. You know we ouch ya? You know what they say, it's 420 somewhere.
Cities and suburbs today are far less walkable and bikeable than in decades past. Kids today also don't have nearly the amount of leisure time that they used to. They're inundated with hours and hours of homework and a growing list of extracurricular responsibilities, giving them less playtime than children had in just recent decades. Parents are also more likely to encourage their kids to stay home and stay indoors. Parents of color especially say that events like Trayvon Martin's death and the of countless other Black and brown youths in recent years have made them nervous to send their children out to play unsupervised. And kids today are facing increasing economic anxiety due to the precarious nature of our economy, wealth disparity, unstable housing, stagnant wages, and the ongoing pandemic, which is still over 1,000 Americans a week and leaving millions and millions of young people and their caregivers disabled and forced out of the workforce permanently. In fact, just 2 years into the pandemic, back in 2022, nearly 8 million children had already lost a parent or primary caregiver to COVID-related causes. Yet none of these other factors are ever discussed by the media or lawmakers. This current generation of kids was also raised in the aftermath of the 2008 recession. And while Haidt and other pundits love to claim that the resulting economic chaos isn't a factor, since the unemployment rate has technically gone down, they ignore the broader economic instability that young people face under our current version of capitalism. And nearly 1 in 6 children in America lives below the poverty line. These are major structural issues with our society that taking away TikTok and banning kids from using cell phones won't fix. And I think it's worth noting that the same politicians on both sides of the aisle, along with those in the mainstream media who are backing this campaign to cut kids off from smartphones, also consistently vote and rail against things like gun control measures, youth mental health services, money for parks and public recreation, subsidized meals and childcare, all things that are actually proven to help kids' mental and physical health.
There are more significant issues to deal with in the world causing the mental health crisis, even though those issues are the ones most commonly discussed on social media, and the purpose and justification for trying to regulate social media are fabricated.
I understand why. I just now understood why he called this English as a first language. Because it is interesting. It is interesting because it's the ways in which she's using language. And like I said, it's an interesting dance that she's doing around all of the actual topics, just to kind of nail in the same point over and over again.
Despite the obvious evidence otherwise, as well as the clear and obvious difference in records between the two main political parties. This is
I know, when she's talking at a certain point, it really just becomes... Taylor's kind of hard to listen to, I'll be honest.
all a coordinated distraction so that the government can avoid dealing with real problems.
No one is claiming that these social media companies can't do better. Using social media...
I just realized Taylor is one of those people that should be attractive, but she is just a horrible person, so I find her disgusting. I think she just... again, this sounds mean coming from a man. I think she just doesn't do her makeup that well. I can't tell if she's like trying to do a smoky eye, but like it's very dark on the... It's like, it's not a lot, but for some reason there's like a lot. I don't know how to explain it. The eyeliner just looks bad to me. Or is it shadow? I can't even tell. But that's just the part that bugs me. And because then when she does that, sometimes it makes her eyes look really sunken in.
The wrong way, especially if you're already struggling mentally, can have negative consequences. Literally anyone who uses the internet these days is acutely aware of its downsides.
She's doing a smoker's eye.
Platforms
yeah,
should...
it's a dated look. Does this actually identify her age? Can you identify it based on the eyeliner look?
Undeniably roll out...
Yes, it's giving Republican millennial makeup. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. It is, yeah, it's like Republican makeup, for sure.
More robust user controls, data privacy protections, and responsible algorithmic recommendation systems. Parents also need to learn how to communicate with their children and build resilience and responsible technology and media consumption habits. As one robust recent research paper on the topic explains, social media is not like a toxin or nutrient for which each exposure dose has a defined link to a health-related outcome.
Oh, they started early?
Strawberry lemon.
Oh, they did start early. I wasn't even able to put the poll up. I forgot. That's my bad, but they have started. I'm going to finish off this video when I have a few minutes left. Thank you all so much for stopping. Did I say that right? Thank you all so much for stopping, and I really do appreciate it. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I do this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We'll see you again then. But I will finish off this video because I am really interested in this and just hearing out like the final bits of this point because I'm just very confused still.
Outcome. Rather than comparing smartphones and social media to drugs, think of them as tools that can be used in a variety of ways. Human connection is good for us. We need it, especially vulnerable kids. But there are healthy ways to connect and engage with others, and then there are ways that are more indulgent. We need young people to have exposure to these technologies from a young age so that they can learn these lessons early and develop a healthy and productive relationship with the media and technology of their time.
And again, this point would stand if she outlined like a greater social emphasis on like parents influencing their children's intake. And because the problem is it's like we're just now starting to get into the era of people that had technology young having children that are being born and growing up with technology, where it's like as before, like when I was a kid, my parents were trying to figure out how to use the technology that we were getting while we were like, you know, able to figure it out faster. So it's like the things that we were able to do then became like more accessible for us, less accessible for them. And like it's there was more of a disconnect there. But I do think that now there could be a heavier emphasis like applied on parents' impact in this regard. But she's not even doing that much. She's just talking about the policy, and that's fine if like you're just wanting to talk about it as a like from a legal standpoint and like talking about that, but it is very much a social issue, and I feel like you can't understate like the points there.
Understand that life is complicated. Respect young people enough to avoid the simple, glib, unfounded mass diagnosis and prescriptions that people like Jonathan Haidt and the media are shoveling out. Rather than feeding into these superficial narratives about young people and technology that are fundamentally unsupported by research, let's all work together to build a more progressive, inclusive, optimistic, and tech-enabled future for all of us.
Now that all of that is out of the way, I'm going to give my personal opinion. This is based on my own observations. I have no sources to back this up, somewhat intentionally for the sake of driving home 3 points. 1. Online media does affect your state of mind, because even with the meta admission I'm making right now, dating my perspective is going to imprint on you in a way that reveals itself when you form your own opinion. 2. Social media's financial goals requiring audience retention will...
Yo, that first point actually hit kind of hard because he's right. He's right. It doesn't matter if it's backed by science, if it does anything, it all has an impact. Honestly, Conduit's becoming one of my favorite creators because he's very smart. Like, a lot of the points he makes are like stuff that I feel like is overlooked by a lot of people. And that was such like a well illustrated point.
Exacerbate whatever issues end up driving people to it, because that need for escapism is what feeds social media's ability to be an escape. And 3, even with my meta admission immediately prior to it, point number 2 still gave your mind something agreeable to your own opinion and was therefore likely easily accepted. All of which leads me to my actual perspective, which is this. Social media hijacks the skeptical part of your brain by providing positive, reinforcing encouragement for whatever your beliefs already are, which entrenches those beliefs to earn the reward, and the result is straying into greater ideological extremes in order to continue receiving them. The same way you can find...
And that's why it's like there needs to be more of an emphasis on how you interact with media, how you interact with information, how you cite, like how you look at how you view sources and how you identify if a source... God, I cannot speak today. How to identify if a source is biased or what have you.
Find yourself unconsciously drifting towards a soda in a convenience store because you want the sugar. If you don't have that moment of awareness to stop and register your actions, odds are you'll make the purchase before you've realized you've done it. I don't know if you can satisfyingly call that addiction, the same way it's defined for someone who has used actual drugs, but the framing here would imply that the use of social media for the benefit of vulnerable people is functionally different from the way described above that is harmful. Which isn't to say that the people finding their own community online is harmful. It's that there's nothing policing your relationship with that online community to provide you with the awareness to recognize when you're doing something you might otherwise not want to, and that the community you've joined is encouraging it. I actually agree with Lorenz here that this legislation most likely won't solve the problem in the right way, but the neutral descriptor of tool...
Well, in the same way that social media is not the only thing impacting children's mental health, the policy will not be the only thing that repairs it. It's like multifaceted. There's a lot of layers that we need to kind of delve into, and policy is just one aspect of it. And again, it shouldn't be a staunch opposition to regulations and policies. It should be a redefinition and regulation put in place.
Tool Lorenz applies to social media still strips the application of that tool by the companies behind them well before it reaches the hands of any users. And believe it or not, my perspective is actually reinforced by some of Lorenz's own reporting. In an article she wrote about Zoran Mamdani last year, she simultaneously says that social media did not drive his win at the same time she calls out how many content creators and celebrities supported him. Her position is that Mamdani's own charisma and platform brought them in, as opposed to an intentional strategy of cultivating social media presence. But it's a chicken and egg situation. Regardless of which came first, they each feed into the other. And Mamdani himself might have undermined her argument by directly reaching out to content creators only a few months later. A strategy Lorenz reported about, but still used to reinforce that initial premise that it's not social media, it's Mamdani himself. She presents social media and personal charisma as separate instead of synergistic. You need the media to get the message out, and you need the message to cultivate the media. I think that additive requirement is what prevents social media from being a morally neutral tool. It only functions as a tool when one applies their perspective, and that immediately shifts it away from any sense of neutrality, positive or negative. I don't think anything I've just said is all that far from what the majority of people understand social media to be already. But if you've got feelings on it similar to mine, rather than reinforcing them with my own agreement, I just want you to be able to better articulate your own, which is really what my whole channel is about. So like and subscribe.
And you're doing a great job at it, Conduit. Now, this is a great video, and like I said, I do think that she is dancing around, and it does feel like a great example of using English effectively, because it does feel like the whole time she's dancing around the actual arguments and the points to be made, and is instead fighting ghosts and, you know, building straw mans in the hope that whoever views it just falls in line. And she is doing precisely the thing she is claiming doesn't happen. Creating a piece of media to impact others in a way to create social change. Like it just, there's a very high level. It's either like a very, like we were talking earlier with Metatron, it's either a high level of cognitive dissonance or just another grift. And these days it's hard to tell which is which. But I really do appreciate everybody for stopping in. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed your time, and go check out Conduit and make sure to subscribe and check out his other videos because he got a lot on there. So I really do appreciate everybody for stopping in. This is Captain Quasar signing off.